Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I want to join with the earlier members, especially the Honourable Prime Minister, who would have welcomed our return to this building after 2 years, and to thank those who facilitated our stay in Worthing during that period. It's great to be home. Rise in support of these budgetary proposals and financial statements. They represent a comprehensive analysis and thought process of the socio-economic and health position of Barbados right now. And I commend the Honourable Prime Minister for the content of the statement. I know the difficulty. It must be difficult for Minister of Finance of Barbados in this, the most challenging socio-economic and health situation which has confronted this country, certainly within our lifetime and most likely over the last 100 years. And the different perspectives that would have informed her decisions. The one previous Prime Minister and President, now deceased, of a fellow CARICOM sister country, once said that economists were difficult people to understand because they say on the one hand this, and on the one hand that, on the one hand this, and on the one hand that. And he prayed to the Lord. He said, for a one-handed economist, it's not easy to deal and to come to a situation which is in the best interest of everyone or society as a whole. But budgetary proposals, more so than any other law, has to be used as a tool for social engineering, as Roscoe Pound would have said. And this is a commendable effort to deal with our situation right now. So we have the capping on petroleum and diesel tax immediately with a direct benefit to the consumers of this country, and this is something that all of us as members of Parliament would have certainly been urged by our respective constituents to support. Capping of cost of freight for purposes of calculating customs duties for a 12-month period. And this as well, of course, because of rising freight costs, as we know, with the advent of COVID, freight costs going up, 400%, and therefore the capping by this government of its revenue from customs duties by freight is commendable, and again would result to the direct benefit of consumers. The zero rating of personal items, personal care items, of course, which the Honourable Member for St. Andrew, in fact, just spoke about, such as sanitary towels and tampons, baby and adult diapers. And these are fundamental aspects, of course, especially towards female care, as we know. And these are expensive commodities. I certainly know, as father of 2 children, how much, and that was a long time ago, how much baby diapers cost. I know now, because of granddaughter, that I have the expense to her parents on baby diapers. I, of course, know, as someone who is close to the people with disabilities, how much adult diapers cost and the difficulty sometimes in accessing them. And sometimes it's just a case where I suppose a member of Parliament has to bear the cost of some of these. And if the welfare department is unable to, and of course the antiperspirants and the vitamins, multivitamins, all of these are now doing away with the tax element for the benefit of people, and shows a government that cares. The aspects of zero rating items which serve tremendously in the fight against non-communicable diseases such as the gluconil and the ensure is visionary, something that is needed, and concomitant with that, of course, the increase by 100% in taxes on sweet drinks has to go along with such an element as well. I commend as well the reduction, discounted water rate for small farmers, and I know the Honourable Minister of Agriculture would have spoken on that aspect and on other aspects of agricultural and food security policies, and this is extremely important in a case where certainly if we did not know before, the last 2 years have shown more than ever with COVID and asphalt and now a war in Europe, that we have to become more dependent on ourselves and more independent of other countries in terms of our food intake and our ability to grow food. And of course, the budget speaks in a thorough manner on that aspect, the development of our agriculture, and in partnership with at least 2 of our sister CARICOM countries, Guyana and Suriname. And this has to be done because we don't live in a vacuum. We don't live by ourselves on just our 166 square mile rock. And anything to make more secure our food supply for our people and to cut down on our costs of importation of food, which I believe is around $700 million a year. Now, sir, the latest figure that I saw has to be promoted and supported. The reality, sir, is that COVID has dealt us an extremely serious blow over the last 2 years. Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister would have told this House and through this House the people of Barbados that COVID cost $1 billion, sir. 1 and 9 zeros. And that is a tremendous amount of money, over $390 million in increased health and welfare costs, over $600 million in lost revenue through tourism and other aspects, lack of tourism and other aspects over the last 2 years. National insurance scheme, of which these financial statements spoke as well, having to bear the cost of over $150 million in unemployment benefits and severance payments and other new benefits that were introduced by this Parliament. So it has been a tremendous burden. But our constituents still demand, as you know, sir, very well, that we deliver on roads, on street lights, on improved housing, on supplying tablets to their children, and on other aspects where the reality of the aspect of people still living below a poverty line in Barbados still prevails, and of course horrendously revealed over the last 2 years. So this government, sir, and of course the Honourable Prime Minister said again, and I was again happy to hear it, because again I think for the second time post the election 2 months ago, the Honourable Member for St. Michael Northeast has said it, that we will hold the 3,600 odd new employees that this government has employed over the last 2 years as a direct result of COVID and as a direct result of obviously the private sector having to lay off people, make people redundant because of the adverse effects of COVID, and that we have committed to keeping these employees, COVID-related employment, as I call it, sir, in their jobs until they can transition to the private sector. And that is why it is extremely important, sir, for the construction projects that have been again revealed in the financial statements by the Honourable Prime Minister to get off the ground during the next financial year. My fear on that, sir, is that we do not have enough skilled and trained people in our country to undertake these jobs, sir. I mean, there are going to be thousands of jobs based on these construction projects. But, I mean, I know that COVID over the last 2 years set us back in every aspect of society and economy, but we have to find a way to fast-track skills training of our people and the people who live in Barbados to avail themselves of this employment. And this is what I've been telling my constituents every time I go out into my constituency. So the Construction Gateway program of an 8 to 12 weeks training program for persons in carpentry and masonry and tiling, plumbing, sir, is extremely important. And I can only urge the Ministry of Technology and Vocation to have that on board as quickly as possible. A lot of our people have the basic skill maybe and the acumen, but they need further training to be able to become better quality artisans. And of course, sir, the Youth Advanced Corps program, which again the Honourable Prime Minister spoke about, expanding and the facilities and improving them and training the participants is very important. Again, something, of course, that we started pre-COVID under the Ministry of Community Development. The then Minister, the Honourable Member for Christchurch West Central, but we need to get that going again, because we have to find a way to have a cadre of persons who are skilled, and not only in the technical skills, but also in terms of the soft skills, the life skills, the discipline, which the Youth Advanced Corps offers the opportunity for the young people of Barbados to avail themselves in. So the times present a unique opportunity for Barbados to expand our skills training in this country among our youth. And of course, when the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology was in the well, I believe when the Ministry of Community Development as well, a common refrain was the fact that we need to provide more opportunities for our young persons having left secondary school without certification and skills, of which there are still too many and needs to be reduced immediately, sir. That we need to provide greater opportunities for them, because look, everybody deserves a second chance in life, not because you have left school without any certification. And I know the Ministry of Education is setting out a plan to address that, but not because you leave school without any certification does it mean that the state does not have an obligation to give you a second chance in life. And I mean a situation of which we heard, sir, and of which I knew, because I keep a check on these things, where there are generally about 300 people who apply for courses in skills training, but they only have provision for about 16, sir. What? 5%? Can't work, can't go in this system where we're looking to transform this society. And we need more space, we need more resources into that area and aspect of our society, sir, to give our people a chance, because, I mean, after all, it's people that matter, sir. And if we have a group of young people who are unskilled still, and who are not able to advance in this country and not able to build this country in terms of their own potential and talent, we are in problems. And I look forward, sir, to that being done within the next financial year. Connected with this is the whole aspect of educational and technical vocational reform, which is so needed in this country. And I was happy, of course, to hear the Honourable Minister for Education, Member of Parliament for St. Philip West, speak about it, she and her team last week, when we were still at Worthing, sir, on this issue, because this is an aspect that is seriously needed. We have to create situations within our educational system whereby our young people can be given the opportunity to fulfill their potential, sir. And that means obviously identifying earlier, Clark, what their potential is, what may be the hindrances to the fulfillment of that potential, and therefore the issues of checking for possible dyslexia or visual or hearing defects from age 4, sir, which used to be done when we were last in office, has to be restarted again. The issue, sir, of welfare reform, of course, is extremely important to the fundamentals of our society as well. This government over the last 2 years has again revealed in the presentation by the Honourable Prime Minister, spent $77 million to protect families from the COVID pandemic and climate crisis, including $31 million to the Welfare Department and over $20 million in $600 monthly grants to households without any income. I know the Honourable Member for St. Thomas has to be commended for leading that drive, sir, but we have to move on from there, sir, to now have a platform where people are not found in so many numbers, or so many families are not found in that position, and where they can better withstand the next health pandemic or the continuing climate change crisis which confronts us, and of which the Honourable Member for St. Michael North East speaks about so eloquently whenever she addresses overseas audiences. We have to find a way to stop this intergenerational poverty and reliance on welfare, sir, by buttressing now our young people, especially our young women, sir, and to help them realize that there are other ways in life to gain an income, but they have to be helped, sir. It's not going to come by happen chance. I, for one, sir, Dubai Park within my own constituency, sir, having put off, obviously, because of COVID and increases in COVID, having looked to start the program last September now, set to start it come hell or high water, God willing, sir, in May, Life and Work Skills program, which is replicated in many government departments. I think the Ministry of Labour, sir, has similar programs, give, as I said, soft skills to people, and training in civics and in teamwork and life skills, critical thinking and problem resolution. Those issues where maybe our formal educational system has not catered adequately to our young people. And the Young Mothers program, sir, my intention to start that as well. Young Mothers Empowerment program within my constituency after the Life and Work Skills program. And it's a program that I saw when looking through the Ministry of Community Development and Youth, They have a budget for a similar program. I know the Ministry of Labour was also hoping to have that program. That had been conceptualized, but I believe budgetary constraints may prevent it. And I have urged the two ministers of those ministries to come together and see what they can do, because government is about synergies, as we know so well especially from the last 2 years. So, these financial statements represent an extremely good attempt to demonstrate a vision for Barbados as we go forward towards the end of this decade. But I accept, sir, that there are constraints which have to be overcome. And I listened very carefully to the Honourable Member for St. Michael South Central this morning and agreed with her in a lot of her remarks in terms of the implementation of proposals. I have seen over the years by governments of both political parties where budgetary proposals have been brought forward, passed in Parliament, good budgetary proposals, but haven't been unable to be implemented, sir, for one reason or another. I'm not casting blame whether it's on those in the political directorate or the bureaucrats who are supposed to implement and administer these proposals. And I agree, sir, this is certainly something that we have to watch. I know the public service may say they're not given the resources to implement, but sir, it is a problem. And we have to get better in terms of implementing to be able to transform our society as we, as a government, as the political directorate, would want to see it transformed. I mean, sir, we have situations, yes, where, and I speak to it, sir, because if we can't speak frankly in here, we can't speak anywhere. But the licensing authority, sir, has to do better. It can't be a case where people can't get renewal of the driver's license in a timely manner, and people calling up members of Parliament, because it can't only be me, sir. It's not only me. I'm sure they call up my colleagues, sir, saying, but I need my driver's license. I'm going overseas. I want to drive in the United States or wherever when I go, and I can't get it from the licensing authority. And you got to go before a minister of government to get signatures and to get it authenticated. That is not good enough. And we need to improve in some of our departments. Yes, sir, we have improved tremendously, and one of the mantras of this government was in 2018 and still is to improve the ease of doing business in this country, which is so fundamental to our development and is so fundamental to our advancement as of an economy and a society. And in terms of savings, and that has been done in many areas, such as, yes, police certificate of character, which when I was Minister of Home Affairs, would have had the honor to help start. And of course, the ease in terms of paying your taxes online and others. But there are some aspects of our government and our governmental departments that need improvement and need to be taken by the horns and pulled into this era. I mean, the Magistrates Court, sir, for District A. Sir, and I promise people involved that I will speak on it, sir, that, I mean, for 3 months you've been unable to get money from that court, from the civil court, monies that have been paid in, sir, and this directly affects the people of Barbados, people who are depending on this money because of, based on what they tell me, sir, bureaucratic omissions, sir. And I not want to cast blame, sir. This is not something that an honourable minister should get involved in. Doesn't have to. That is not the remit of the minister. That is the remit of the administrators of these departments of the Magistrates Court to get this right and to stop giving excuses.
Have 5 more minutes.
Thank you, sir. But these are the issues, sir. In terms of St. James North, sir, my constituency, and again, of course, the people who have elected me, to be a member and to speak on their behalf in this honourable house, sir. I look forward to roads, sir, being done, because the statement was made that when the Ministry of Public Works was in the well, that a decision was taken to start roads, repairing roads in the south, sir. I don't know, sir. I absolutely disagree with that statement, sir. And the honourable member for St. Lucie also commented on it, sir. But I mean, I thought you would do the real bad roads first, and some of the worst roads in St. James North and St. Thomas too, sir. And I hope that it is not a case where you assume that because St. James North, because the party, Barbados Labour Party, has won, the people of St. James North have supported the Barbados Labour Party for 15 of the last 16 elections since the establishment of adult suffrage in this country. So we don't get help when the Democratic Labour Party in office, because they know they can't win the seat. But we have got to get help when we in office, sir. I agree, sir, and I commend the Ministry of Public Works for tackling drainage issues in the constituency, sir, in Sign Hill and in Western and part of Trent, although the other part of Trent has to be done, and also in Clark's Road in the Wim. But there are other areas that need to be done. A sports facility in Western Mini Stadium, as I would call it, I look forward to that being done this next financial year. Refurbishment to the Western Fish Market, sir, which the Honourable Senior Minister for Christchurch West has informed me just got town planning permission for the go-ahead. I think last week, Friday, a decision has to be made on the old fire station, but housing, sir, is of course a bugbear. And St. James North, of course, does not have any housing areas, and because of the configuration and Zone 1 restrictions, which I look forward to the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister bringing legislation to Parliament soon to regulate and to take some of the areas out of Zone 1, sir. Because of that, there aren't any state areas, government-owned areas for housing, and therefore I look forward, sir, to people of St. James North being given the opportunity for allocation and acquisition of houses by the state and by Hope Inc., sir, in Lancaster, for instance. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, on the issue of people with disabilities, sir, and again, the Honourable Prime Minister has again spoken of the intention of the Cabinet of Barbados to establish a Disabilities Commission, sir. This is long overdue. In fact, as we speak, sir, and I was trying to join in, sir, as we speak, there's a national consultation on disabilities going on in Barbados, and that's what I was trying to access. We need to implement policies for people with disabilities. Almost to the day, sir, 7 years ago, I laid in this Parliament, 17th of March 2015, a resolution calling for legislation to improve the quality of lives of people with disabilities. Specific disabilities legislation hasn't been done yet, sir. We don't even have a policy. So I look forward to the Cabinet agreeing to give resources now for the implementation of such a policy and to commit to the legislation so that people with disabilities, like everyone else, be able to fulfill their potential and take advantage of the training and entrepreneurial and educational opportunities that this government is bringing. We have to have an inclusive society for all. And, sir, as I said, I support these proposals and statements. I look forward, sir, to the proper implementation of them by those responsible for implementing them. I'm obliged to you, sir.
Thank you. Honourable Member for St.